Ah, waterfalls. From small natural ones you can find on brooks and streams all over the world to picturesque man-made creations to monsters like Niagara and Iguazu Falls. Waterfalls are some of the most amazing water features on the planet. Whether you simply want a tiny, burbling one to read a book by, or the awesome spectacle of millions of gallons of white water crashing over a cliff, nature, and man, are ready for you. So it comes as no surprise that us Minecraft addicts feel the same way, scouring our worlds and hundreds of seeds for the perfect naturally generated waterfall to build our homes next to, or just screenshot and send to our jealous friends. There's just one small problem. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's pretty, it's neat, but it's not very, well, realistic, now is it? The water just kind of comes down the mountain and stops. No spray, no majesty, no awesome force of nature. It's just kind of there. Which is why we're going to fix that today. I actually made a waterfall from scratch in my Let's Play world last week using some techniques I was not sure were going to work, but they worked so well that I just had to share them in a dedicated video. So if you want a realistic waterfall in your world, I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks on how to make one that will much more resemble the real world and will make all your buddies totally jealous at the same time. Let's get to it. First step, right away, this is rookie crap. This is water coming out of the side of a mountain. Know where it's coming from. It's just coming, and that's not how water works. Water doesn't work this way. Get out of here. Especially when we have this really cool looking cliff face right over here that we can actually go ahead and just sort of do this, spam some water around, and give ourselves a really neat looking waterfall that looks much more natural since it's actually coming down this way. And if you want to make it even more natural, you can always put some stuff in here and over here. And that way, and then maybe build this up a little bit down here. But then that way you've actually got some sort of reason why you have a waterfall coming down this direction rather than water just coming out of the side of a mountain. Alternatively, you could also do something like have a build-up of rock and cobblestone and a few other things here and make it look like it's coming from a natural underground aquifer. But either one of those is up to you. I'm going to go ahead and just build it this way for now, and then maybe clean this up a little bit later. But for now, we actually have a template for our waterfall. So now we can actually start looking at making this look a little bit more realistic and getting some more detail put into it. And I think the first thing we should work on is the spray. So you know how at the bottom of every waterfall you've ever seen, there's a little bit of mist spray and salt spray coming up from the bottom of the waterfall, and you just don't have that in Minecraft because, well, first of all, probably programming on that many particles would be really, really, really hard for every single waterfall. But luckily, there's actually something that's come out recently that can fix this, and that is the Campfire. You probably know from experience that Campfire does put off some very interesting looking smoke particles that you can use for things like chimneys and for smelteries and any number of different uses, but it can also be used to give off what look like mist particles. Now, we're going to be a little bit tricky with this, so I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here, because we're going to have to do some terraforming down here at the bottom and then try and figure out exactly where our mist particles need to go. So I think they should go right about here-ish, give or take. And, of course, we can always go back and sort of play with this later. So, but for a waterfall this big, we should have quite a few mist particles coming up. So we're going to go all the way over here, all the way to the end, and we're going to end up digging down about 2 to 3 blocks because we're going to need a lot of room for this particular thing. And notice, you can't just put this down here and have it work because they've actually updated it so water does, in fact, put out the smoke particles, so you've got to be a little bit tricky with this. And by tricky, I mean it's time to go under the sea, down where it's wetter, because things are better. And you're going to have to go down here and sort of terraform this out about 3 blocks deep. And now that we've got that, actually, you know what, let's go 1 more block out just to get that completely. There we go. So now we've got that all done. You can see the top of our waterfall here. This would be great places for the actual spray to come up. But now we have to actually do a few other things to make sure this is actually going to work. So we're going to need some trapdoors. So let's go ahead and grab, how about birch? Birch sounds like it'll be fun. Some birch trapdoors, and we're going to put them right here. If I can actually get this to work out right. There we go. And that is actually going to stop the water once we get all these trapdoors put in, and we can put our campfires underneath them. and then we can play around with other blocks on top of them to sort of hide the fact that there's trapdoors down here, because trapdoors look kind of ugly. And now that all those are placed down, let's go ahead and knock out a little bit more space down here to work with. And we're going to be putting our campfires down one below the trapdoors. And underneath them, we're going to be putting in hay blocks, because hay blocks will actually make... Ooh, I don't know how to spell hay. Hay. Because hay blocks will actually help the fires go a little bit higher and give you a little bit better... Oh, hello. Okay, that's interesting. Give you a little bit better distance on your smoke particles when you're actually doing this. Let's go put these in. Put some campfires on top there. Campfire there. And then once you've got all those in, you notice we do have now our mist going up. It goes up a fair distance, so you may want to actually, depending on what you want it to look like, you could not put the hay blocks in, or you can put a couple of hay blocks in. I put hay blocks under all of them just to show you how far up this will go, because it'll basically go almost all the way to the top of your waterfall here, which, once again, it just kind of depends on what kind of effect you're going for. If you're going for a smaller waterfall, obviously don't use the hay blocks because it's not going to have the mist going up as far. But when you've got a waterfall that is effectively, what? These are 1 meter, so you've got, this is probably a 90-meter waterfall, so about 280 feet tall. You might actually have mist going up that far. It just really kind of depends on how you want to do it. So I decided to do it this way, but you, by all means, your mileage may vary, so feel free to change it up however you want. Now, though, we've got sort of a small problem, is we have all these trapdoors down here, so we got to figure out a way we can actually hide those, but still allow the smoke to go through, since the smoke will not go through a solid block. Luckily, we have a number of transparent blocks that we can use, the best of which is probably going to be these leaf blocks, because it doesn't necessarily look completely out of place down here with these leaf blocks, and it does hide the fact that there are trapdoors around here that you can fool people into thinking that this is just part of the bottom of the river or the ocean or whatever you're actually putting it into here. And it, as I said, it doesn't look totally out of place. It looks a little out of place, but nowhere near as much as just a whole bunch of trapdoors hanging out in the middle of nowhere would look. So now we have our mist in. We have some leaf blocks down there, some transparent blocks to actually allow the smoke particles to continue going up, so we still have the effect of the mist down here at the bottom. And now it's time to actually do some terraforming on the waterfall itself, because while this looks good now, waterfalls don't look like this. There's usually large amounts of rocks and other things in the middle of them, so we need to sort of take that into account when we're actually building one of these. So let's get started on some basic sort of terraforming for our waterfall itself here to give it more of a realistic kind of feel. And the way we're going to do that is actually with a combination of mossy cobblestone stairs, slabs, and blocks, cobblestone slabs, blocks, and stairs, andesite blocks, slabs, and stairs, and stone. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to sort of make this look a little bit more natural. Because right now, I mean, if you think about it, this particular waterfall, if this was in real life, the water would just be everywhere. It'd be all over the place. But it will follow the path of least resistance here, which is at least good. But we do need to have some sort of little things that we can put around it, especially if we want to do like a shoreline that goes around this as well. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with this. So first of all, to make this make slightly more sense, we've sort of turned this area up here in the top into just a quick and dirty lake. So now we have a lake that actually drains to the waterfall, which goes down there to the bottom of the river. So it makes a little bit more logical sense. You could make this into another river, maybe put a second waterfall up there, so you'd have a waterfall running down here, into a lake, into another waterfall that goes down there. Maybe that's being fed from snow runoff or what have you. It sort of depends on what your own headcanon wants to be. But in this particular case, I decided, you know what, let's just do a lake, and then we'll call it an underground aquifer that's feeding into the lake or something. And now we just have to go through and sort of change this up a little bit. So we're going to do some terraforming up here, and then down here at the bottom and along the sides while we're at it. So we're going to go ahead and use our mossy cobblestone, and I choose mossy cobblestone versus mossy stone because I want this to look as natural as possible. So having mossy stone would make a whole heck of a lot of sense unless you're making a man-made waterfall, in which case, go for it. It's all up to you. Remember, it's your world. You can do as you choose. So I'm just going to go ahead and sort of randomly pop things out here and there. sort of depending on how I feel. No, not there. Right there? Yeah, there'll work. Yeah, that'll work. And then how about one here? Say we'll put one there. And then we'll move over to andesite, just to give it a little bit more texture here than we had elsewhere, and then leave some stone in. So yeah, we'll leave that all stone over there. And as I said, this is a very quick and dirty kind of version of this, so feel free to take as much time as you want making this look however you'd like it to look. Because this, to me, I really like the way this looks. And then you can always do things like if you want to add a little bit more detail, a little bit more depth to the build, we can go ahead and put some slabs out over here. And then maybe some stairs to represent pieces of rocks and things like that that are just sort of hanging out. Yeah, let's see, maybe one here? Yeah, there we go. Ooh, that looks neat. I like that. And then, where else do we want to go here? Maybe put one over there. Put a couple of slabs here. Along that, sure. Maybe one there. So just kind of, you're going to have to kind of experiment with it. And just, it takes a lot of trial and effort to figure out what looks good where and where you want things to be put in. So, that's not what I wanted. And it just play with it. Play with it and have fun with it, and when you get to a point where you like it, that's where you stop. It doesn't have to be any further than that. And then, of course, in here, we're going to go ahead and put some plants and things down so that it's less of just sort of a flat surface. So we'll throw down some plants and maybe some, I don't know, maybe some kelp or something like that, just to show what kind of place it is. Sort of like one of those mountainy kind of little miniature lakes where you get them clogged with algae and beaver dams. And oh, a beaver dam. There's an idea. You could actually do a beaver dam right here. So if you really wanted to, you could make this sort of a dammed up little river with a beaver dam in the middle of it, and that's why you've got this here. Isn't that an interesting idea? I like it. I like it a lot. So now we're going to actually go through and do a little bit of terraforming on the way down, and the way we're going to do this is very similar to the way that we did it up there. We're going to go ahead and use stairs, different types of blocks, slabs to make it have a more graduated look to it, so that it's not just completely this one block step down all the way. So we want it to make it look a little bit more realistic. So we're going to put in stairs, slabs, pretty much whatever we feel like to make it look more realistic. So now we've got a little bit more of a realistic look up here with our different color blocks. We've got some seagrass and some kelp. We've got some salmon and some cod, which are, of course, swarming over there rather than being... I don't understand that at all. But anyway, so we've got all that taken care of, but we're still missing a couple of things here. And one of the things that I actually like doing, and this is an idea I got from a Korean, is good old-fashioned stone buttons. So why stone buttons, you say? Well, they kind of look like rocks or pebbles that you can put around here. Unfortunately, you can't put them on the slabs, just like anything else. You have to sort of put them on solid blocks. So a little bit limiting, but they do look good just in that particular case. So you got these little rocks along here, and then down here on the bottom, you see we've actually done a little bit of terraforming on the sides to give it a more realistic look there also. So we've got those there, and you can also put a couple here if you want. It's going to be kind of hard to find. We can do one there. We can do one up there. There's a salmon coming downstream. We can do a couple here and here. Maybe one up there. Move down a little bit. How about one there? And can we put one there? No. Oop, that's not what we wanted it. Not on the side. That does not look natural. Rocks do not cling to the sides of things like that. Although, it'd be interesting because it sort of gives a little bit of a nubby kind of look to it. It's not terrible. Let's see, anywhere else we can put one? We got one there, we got one there, we got one there. One there. There we go. So now you have a much more natural looking waterfall that does have your mist particles coming up a little bit here, and then actually makes some sense because you've got a lake at the top here. It's probably being fed by an underground aquifer or something, is where all of this water is actually coming from. You've got your little shoreline here using slabs, buttons, blocks, mossy variants. The mossy variants are definitely worth putting in here. So you've actually got something that looks much more realistic, makes much more sense, and in my mind looks a lot cooler. Like when I discovered this smoke particle trick here for the waterfall, it was just like lightning struck. I was just flabbergasted at how much better it made this look. So it sort of gives it that mist sort of look. And I mean, if you wanted to get really into it with either command blocks or maybe note blocks or something to make it sort of have that rushing, roaring sound in the background, you could totally do that. And also feel free to terraform back behind the waterfall too, if you'd like to have a more sort of less see-through kind of thing. So you could always take out these blocks and put in something like, let's see here, so we got maybe some like dark blue concrete or something, or maybe some blue stained glass. You could actually put in behind the waterfall here. Maybe a few blocks back from the waterfall itself, so that way it looks like it's more of a solid water stream. Or you could always do the old trick that a number of people have used where you use different colors of stained glass and different layers to make it look more opaque and sort of like a misting effect behind it. But that's going to be it for me for this video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some sort of ideas for your builds or inspiration. That's one of the reasons I actually do this, is because, first of all, I enjoy making content, but second of all, I love to actually be able to give out inspiration to other people. It's sort of paying back all the people that inspired me when I was first starting this game, all the different YouTubers that I watched and different Twitch casters and everything. So I try and give as much inspiration back to the communities that's given to me over the years. So I hope you liked this. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be putting out more tutorial videos in the next few weeks or so, just regarding different things that I'm doing on my Let's Play world and other ideas that I've had. So by all means, feel free to go click about my channel, check out my Let's Play that's just going on right now. I think we're on episode 5 as of the making of this video, 6 to come soon. So definitely check that out if you enjoy this type of content and you enjoy seeing weird things getting built in a more realistic fashion, because that's kind of where I live, is I try and take things from the real world that I like and look at them in Minecraft and try to remake them there in the most realistic fashion possible. Like that waterfall over there, that is pants. This waterfall is amazing. So if I do say so myself, I'm the most humble man you will ever meet. But thank you very much for coming by, everyone. Really appreciate it. Feel free to click a like if you did enjoy the video, dislike it if you didn't like it, or if you didn't learn anything from it, or if you have a different idea. By all means, I want to hear about that in the comments. Leave a comment, leave a like, and if you like the content you're seeing here, definitely subscribe for more content here on my channel. And make sure you go out tonight, play some games, have some fun. I'll see you again really soon. Have a good night, everybody.